Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review comes from 1987, and it's Norman Mailer's Tough Guys Don't Dance. Yes, that Norman Mailer, the famous novelist, and in this he's directing a film that he wrote the script from his own novel. Now you have films where people say, oh, you have to see it to believe it, or, you know, it's crazy. And then you watch the film and it's like, yeah, fine. But this film is crazy, and it's mad, and it looks as though it's been made by people who don't know how to make a film. But there's also something compelling about it, and very enjoyable if you're in the right mood. This is a Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray release, the alternate artwork. But I'll just read the back of the slipcover to give you an idea of what the film's about. A strange tattoo, a jilted lover, and murder. Tim found blood in his car, a woman's head in the drug stash, and the chief of police with the love of his life, and that's only the beginning. Was it the ex-wife, the bisexual prep school pal, or Tim himself? Then there's a wonderful bit down here that says the critics are raving. Bold, innovative, wonderful. And then the next one says stinks. A giant death orgy with lots of maniacs. One of the worst ever, my grandmother could do better. Excellent, crazy entertainment, very funny. Gross, sleazy garbage. Quick turns of plot, enjoyed having to think. Whoever wrote this has never read a good book. So you can see it was somewhat split down the middle. This stars Ryan O'Neill, being very contained while everything else around him is fairly insane. Isabella Rossellini, who was just coming off Blue Velvet. This was filmed in 1986, released in 1987, so I'm not sure whether this was, I'm guessing this was after Blue Velvet. Wings Hauser, in an unbelievably brazen performance by Wings Hauser. It's extraordinary. Some brilliant Norman Mailer dialogue, some unbelievably bad Norman Mailer dialogue, some outrageous line readings. I think if you go to YouTube and type in Ryan O'Neill, oh God, oh man, when he gets bad news, that's a famous clip. Even though in the extras Wings Hauser defends Ryan O'Neill. There's, as I said, there's wonderful lines in it, and there's just unbelievable dialogue and line reading choices. Like, I made you come 16 times a night, none of them were good. That's because you have no womb. And never call an Italian small potatoes, amongst lots of others. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll want to relieve yourself. So the actual plot, I mean, it's essentially a neo-noir. It's a bit reductive to say it's a bit David Lynch. It's not as put together as a David Lynch, even though the score is by Angelo Badalamenti, coincidentally. So Ryan O'Neill wakes up in this beautiful beach house, So it's set in Provincetown, which Norman Mailer lived for a while, which is, as one character describes it, it's the tip of the little finger of Massachusetts. It's where the Pilgrims landed, or there and thereabouts. So that's where it's set. So Ryan O'Neill wakes up in this summer house. He hears the kettle go off. He walks downstairs, and there's Lawrence Tierney sitting at the kitchen table, who turns out to be Ryan O'Neill's dad, even though they don't have the best relationship. They don't really see each other very often. And Ryan O'Neill, his dad says, "You look terrible." And Ryan O'Neill tells the story in flashbacks, and we jump between the past and him and Lawrence Tierney. So Ryan O'Neill's an ex-con who did some time for a drugs charge. He used to be in a relationship with Isabella Rossellini for some reason. And they went swinging somewhere in the south. This couple, and one of the members of the couple is famous magician Penn Jillette. Again, I'm not making this up. Looking very young. And of course, he's a minister, because most swingers are. And his partner takes a liking to Ryan O'Neill and says, "We're going to meet again, and we're going to get married, and I'm going to make something of my life." So cut to kind of years later, Ryan O'Neill and Rossellini have split up for various reasons, which I won't go into. And then this woman appears, and she is married. A very rich man who used to go to school with Ryan O'Neill. And she then tries to get Ryan O'Neill to kill him. Very noir setup, which he doesn't do. But then they fall for each other, and she files for divorce from the rich man, and that's where Ryan O'Neill is married to this woman. But as he says to Lawrence Tierney, the last 5 days has been a bit wild. So Ryan O'Neill gets involved with this couple who seem to be travelling. She's an adult actress. They end up going back and have something happens between them involving horizontal jogging. And then he wakes up, doesn't know where he is, but there's his bloody denim jacket in his Jeep. So there's definitely something going on. Wings Hauser is an ex-Vietnam veteran who's now the new chief of police in the area. There's a couple of drug dealing scumbags. There's a seance because the house that Ryan O'Neill and this woman lives in is haunted, but that doesn't really come back at any point in the film to mean anything. And in typical noir fashion, there's double crossing and the cocaine deal and everything. And obviously Wings Hauser's wife turns out to be Isabella Rossellini. So that's kind of the plot. The execution is a completely different story. Again, it's odd, to say the least. There's really, as I said, there's effective dialogue. There's kind of wonderful Norman Mailer dialogue. But then there's absolutely jaw-droppingly bad dialogue. So when one of these critics says it's very funny, I'm not sure it's actually meant to be that funny. Norman Mailer, as Wings Hauser says in the extras, doesn't care what people think, and it's probably just as well. But the thing is, I enjoyed this film thoroughly, even although it is all over the place as far as tone, the performances, some of the characters' accents. The rich guy's accent is all over the shop. It has cult, I said cult, written all over it. I think it will stand up to repeated viewings as you try and figure out, was Norman Mailer actually sane when he made it? It's, again, unfortunately I'm going to say the cliche it is. You literally have to see it to believe it. As with quite a lot of Vinegar Syndrome releases, there's some really good extras on it. It's a 2K scan. You Don't Have to Make Me Any Nuttier, which is a wonderful new interview with actor Wings Hauser. Talks about his relationship with Norman Mailer. Shooting in Helltown, because that's what Provincetown nickname is. There's a new interview with cinematographer John Bailey. The film looks really nice, in that kind of 80s colour. My Dad in Motion, an interview with Michael Mailer, son of director Norman Mailer, and a crazy, wild, spooky movie. Brand new interview with J. Michael Lennon, Norman Mailer's archivist and biographer. There's an archival featurette, Norman Mailer in Provincetown. Theatrical trailer. It's 109 minutes, and to be fair, it does fly by, as one kind of odd scene follows another odd scene. A neo-noir, but it's hard to describe. But again, if you like things that are culty, if you like the kind of, again, I'm not comparing this to Lynch, because obviously Lynch is a master, but if you like that kind of Lynch tonal shifts, and not really expecting what's going to happen next, even though this is obviously a bit more predictable than some of Cronenberg's films. Where did Cronenberg come from? David Lynch. Cronenberg's always on my mind. This isn't like any Cronenberg film. It's quite bizarre, and you can see why the ones in yellow are the ones that say it's gross, sleazy and garbage. You can see where they're coming from, but you can also see watching this late at night if you've had a couple of drinks and really enjoying it, because it is kind of awesome as well as being terrible. So that's Tough Guys Don't Dance, directed, written by Norman Mailer, who doesn't have a huge filmography as a director. I wonder why. Really odd, but also a lot of fun. And poor Ryan O'Neill doing his best, because he has to be the straight man essentially, and he does do his best, while everybody else is going nuts around him. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen Tough Guys Don't Dance from 1987 and what you think of it, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitude Ronan from Solitude Ronan Films, saying farewell.